Good morning, everyone. I am Dr. Gauri Bankar, Assistant Professor, Department of Ophthalmology. Today we'll be discussing about anatomy of the eye. So, ophthalmology is a scientific study of eyes and their diseases. It is a branch of medicine and surgery which deals with diagnosis and treatment of the eye disorders. An ophthalmologist is a specialist in ophthalmology. Ophthalmologists are allowed to use medications to treat eye diseases, implement laser therapy, and perform surgery when needed. So coming to history of ophthalmology in India, the Indian surgeon Sushruta of 6th century studied the eye diseases scientifically. In his Sushruta Samhita, he mentioned 76 ocular diseases and designed several ophthalmological and surgical instruments and techniques. He was the first to mention that cataract is a disease of lens. He has been described as one of the first cataract surgeons. He practiced method of couching to treat cataract. So what is the importance of ophthalmology? The vision is very important for the early development in infancy. It is said that two-thirds of the child's early learning comes through vision and that over one-third of adult cortex respond to visual stimuli. The visual information is processed by many parts of brain. Eye is the window of the body which gives opportunity to observe the blood vessel and nerve. Eye is affected in various systemic diseases also. So there is Sanskrit verse which means so long the human being wishes to live a good quality life, till that time the man should protect his eyes. The person who is blind from him, the day and night are the same. Even if he is rich, for him this world is of little interest. One of the wonderful things in nature is a glance of the eyes. It transcends speech, it expresses emotions, and it is the bodily symbol of identity and beauty. So eyes just like a camera. In camera, with the help of the lens, the light is focused on the film. Similarly, in case of the eye, with the help of cornea and the crystalline lens, the light is focused on the retina. So the eye is formed from firstly ectoderm of the neural tube which forms retina, optic nerve, fibers and iris. Second is surface ectoderm which forms corneal and conjunctival epithelium, lens, lacrimal and tarsal glands. Second is mesenchyme which forms corneal stroma, sclera, choroid, iris, ciliary body, parts of vitreous, muscle lining of the anterior chamber. The development of eye begins around 22nd day. The brain and eye develop from the most anterior region of the neural tube. On the either side of the neural tube, the thickening appears at an early stage, which is optic plate. The optic plate grows outwards as diverticulum towards the surface to form the primary optic vesicle. The neural plate becomes depressed to form the optic sulcus. The proximal part of the optic vesicle becomes constricted and forms the optic stalk. As the optical vesicle grows laterally, it comes in contact with the surface ectoderm. The area of the surface ectoderm overlying the optic vesicle becomes thickened to form the lens placode. It sinks below the surface and gets converted to lens vesicle. When the optic vesicle meets the surface ectoderm, it gets invaginated to form the optic cup. The cup has inner and outer layer. So here you can see this is the optic vesicle and this is the inner layer of optic cup and this is the outer layer of the optic cup. There is a space between two layers and it is called as the cavity of optic vesicle. The lining of invagination remains open for some time and forms a embryonic fissure. Formation of the outer coats of the eye, the choroid and the sclera, the orbit structures are formed. Formation of anterior chamber, then formation of layers of iris, the angle of anterior chamber, main structures of the cornea, The corneal and conjunctival epithelium is formed from the surface ectoderm. In the surrounding structure, the folds grow over front of the cornea, which unite and later separate to form the lids. So this is a summary of various parts of the eyeball. So you can lens is derived from the surface ectoderm, retina from the neuroectoderm, vitreous from the mesoderm and mesenchyme, choroid from the mesoderm, ciliary body from mesoderm, ciliary muscles, mesenchymal cells covering the developing ciliary body, that is neural crest. Iris is derived from the mesoderm, muscles of the iris form from the neuroectoderm, sclera from the mesoderm, cornea from the surface epithelium of ectoderm, conjunctiva by surface ectoderm, blood vessels from the mesenchyme and mesoderm, optic nerve from the neuroectoderm. Coming to the anatomy of the orbit, it is pyramidal in shape, made up of 7 bones: frontal, sphenoid, zygomatic, maxillary, palatine, ethmoid and lacrimal. It has 4 walls. There are 4 sinuses: frontal, ethmoidal, sphenoid and maxillary, in the close proximity of the intracranial and paranasal sinuses. So the orbit lies in the close proximity of the intracranial and paranasal sinuses. So globular structure suspended in the orbit is the eyeball, which occupies 1/5 of the orbital cavity. Extraocular muscle rotate it around its center. It is protected by orbit except on the lateral aspect, where it is more prone for injuries. It's not a globular structure, but two modified spheres fused together to form a eyeball. Anterior cornea has a small radius of curvature. Here you can see this is one sphere and this is the another sphere, which are fused together to form a eyeball. Anterior cornea has small radius of curvature, that is 7.8 mm, and posterior sclera has larger radius of curvature, that is 12 mm. The junction of sclera and cornea is limbus. So this is the limbus, which is the junction of sclera. This is junction of cornea and sclera. Measurements of the eyeball. The eyeball is oblate spheroidal shape or a globular structure with more convex anterior surface. So diameter, anterior posterior diameter is 24 mm, horizontal is 23.5 mm, vertical is 23 mm. The overall radius of curvature is 12 mm, while that of the anterior corneal surface is 7.8 mm. So the poles, central point on the maximal convexities of the anterior and posterior curvatures of the eyeball are anterior and posterior poles. Coming to tunics of the eyeball, that is layers of the eyeball, it has 3 coats or tunics. They are: the outermost is sclera, the middle is vascular, which is choroid, and the innermost is the retina. Sclera, it is the outermost opaque coat and a strong wall which protects the intraocular contents. So here you can see this white layer is the sclera. Anterior 1/6 is transparent and it is called as cornea. So this is the anterior 1/6, which is transparent, called as cornea, and posterior one is called as sclera. Uvea or choroid, it lines inner aspect of the sclera and is highly vascular coat of uvea. It provides nutrition to the intraocular structure. So this is the most vascular layer, which is called as a uvea or choroid, and the innermost is retina, which is sensory layer concerned with the reception of light and transmission of light. Coming to sclera, sclera is a tough fibrous envelope of the eye. It is white in color and a vascular structure. It has 2 large openings on the anteriorly, the cornea, which is about 1/6, and posteriorly the optic nerve. The conjunctiva covers it anteriorly. Sclera proper, which is dense network of collagen fiber. They have variable diameter and irregular arrangement, hence it is opaque. Episclera, it is a loose fibrous connective tissue which contains numerous capillaries. It has fine strands which connect it with the investing fascia, that is Tenon's capsule, with the eye. Structures piercing the sclera are, so firstly vertex veins which pierce the sclera 4 mm behind the equator. Long and short ciliary vessels, long and short ciliary nerves, anterior ciliary vessels and nerves, blood supply by episcleral plexus and nerve supply by long and short ciliary nerves. Coming to cornea, it is a window of the eye and is fitted like a watch glass in the sclera. It is about 1/6 area of the eyeball. It has vertical diameter of 11.5 mm and horizontal diameter of 12 mm. Vertical of 11.5 and horizontal 12 millimeters. When viewed from behind, it appears circular with diameter of 11.5 millimeter. It is 1 millimeter thick peripherally and 0.5 millimeter thick centrally. So peripherally it is thicker and centrally it is thinner. Refractive index of the cornea is 1.34. The dioptric power is 43 to 45 diopters. It has greater concavity of the posterior surface as compared with the anterior surface. Radius of curvature of the posterior surface is 6.6 mm, while that of anterior surface is 7.8 mm. Refractive index is 1.34. It refracts the light. The dioptric power is 43 to 45, which is about third fourth of total of the dioptric power of the eye. The total dioptric power of the eye is 60 diopter. Corneal transparency is due to uniform and regular arrangement of epithelium and a peculiar arrangement of corneal lamellae and corneal avascularity. So all these are responsible for the corneal transparency. And second is relative state of dehydration. Coming to histology of cornea. So first layer is epithelium, second is Bowman's membrane, third is stroma, fourth is Descemet's membrane, sixth is endothelium. Coming to conjunctiva, translucent membrane lining the posterior aspect of the lid and anterior aspect of the globe. So there are three parts of conjunctiva: palpebral, bulbar and forenensal. So the palpebral has two parts, marginal and tarsal, and bulbar has scleral and limbal. Plica similaris is a pinkish crescentric fold in the medial canthus, and caruncle, which is 3 by 5 mm soft ovoid pinkish mass in the inner canthus just medial to the plica similaris. This one. This is a plica semilunaris. Histology of conjunctiva. It has three layers: epithelium, adenoid layer and fibrous layer. Epithelial layer is 5-layered structure. Glands, it contains gland. First is stem cells, adenoid goblet cells, accessory lacrimal glands and lymphoid tissue. So this we already covered. Okay, again. The anterior chamber, it is bounded anteriorly by the back of the cornea. So it is a space between the back of the cornea and the anterior surface of the iris. So it is about 2.5 mm deep in center in normal adults. Coming to dimension of the adult eyeball, anteroposterior diameter is 24 mm, horizontal diameter is 23.5, vertical diameter is 23, circumference is 75 mm, volume is 6.5 mm and weight is about 7 grams. Coming to chambers of eyeball. So the crystalline lens and iris divide the eyeball into three chambers. First is anterior chamber, posterior chamber and vitreous cavity. The anterior chamber, it is a space filled with fluid, the aqueous humor, bounded in front by cornea, posterior surface of the cornea, and behind the by anterior surface iris and part of lens. It is 2.5 millimeter in deep. The posterior chamber is a minute size and bounded by zonules and the lens behind and the iris in front. So this is a small space bounded anteriorly by posterior surface of iris and by the anterior surface of the lens. Anterior and posterior chambers communicate with each other through the pupil. So this is the pupil through which the anterior and posterior segments are communicated with each other. And third is vitreous cavity, which is located behind the lens. So behind the lens, this is a vitreous cavity which is filled with vitreous. Angle of the anterior chamber, it is a peripheral recess bounded in front by the cornea, posteriorly by the root of the iris and ciliary body, and anterior by the corneosclera. So this is the angle of iris. The circular venous sinus called the canal of Schlemm is present in the inner layer of this part. It is of great importance in drainage of aqueous, so through which the aqueous fluid is drained. The anterior chamber is 2.5 millimeter deep. It is shallower in young and old. Trabecular meshwork between the canal of Schlemm, canal of Schlemm and recess of anterior chamber, there lies a loosely constructed meshwork of tissue, which is called as a trabecular meshwork. So this is a loose tissue which is called as trabecular meshwork. It is porous structure through which the aqueous passes into the Schlemm's canal. So through which it's a porous structure through which the aqueous fluid pass and then goes to the Schlemm's canal. The trabecular meshwork is triangular in shape. Coming to anatomy of crystalline lens, it is biconvex mass oblate in shape. It is suspended by zonules. Then the poles so the parts are nucleus, cortex, then germinative zone. It has two poles, anterior pole and posterior poles. This is the equator of the lens. So the lens structure, the epithelium, it is a germinal layer and it is at the poles. The lens grows by proliferation of peripheral fibers. So from here the layers are formed. Lens substance or the cortex and the old cells cannot be cast off, hence the lens grows in size with the age. Nucleus is a central denser zone of old fibers are at the center. So oldest fiber are at the center. The capsule which is surrounds the lens mass and it is thicker over anterior than the posterior and thinnest over the posterior pole. So the capsule is thicker on the anterior side and thinner over the posterior pole. Nucleus of the lens. The central zone of the lens is called as nucleus of the lens. It is the innermost in embryonic nucleus, that is 6 to 12 weeks of embryonic life. Fetal nucleus, about 3 to 8 months of fetal life. Infantile nucleus, last month of the intrauterine life till puberty, and the adult nucleus, which corresponding to the lens in early adult life. So innermost is embryonic, then fetal, infantile, adult, and which is surrounded by cortex, then anterior epithelium and anterior capsule. The functions of lens: to refract and focus light on retina, to form clear image on retina, to prevent oxidative damage. The main function of transparency to and refraction of light and optical performance. Next, coming to uveal tract or choroid. The uveal tract consists of three parts. posterior part, anterior part. Then the posterior coming to posterior part, which is from a choroid and ciliary body, lie in the inner aspect of the sclera, the choroid and ciliary body. Then anterior part, which forms the free circular diaphragm, which is called as iris, and iris is in coronal plane. Aperture in the iris is called as pupil. So the central aperture between the iris is called a pupil, which connects the anterior and the posterior chamber. Behind the iris and in contact with pupillary margin is the crystalline lens. So exactly behind this iris, lens is situated. Coming to choroid, it is a highly vascular coat which lines the inner aspect of sclera. It provides nutrition to the intraocular structures. Not firmly adherent to sclera, it is potential space between the two structures called as suprachoroidal space. There is a space between these two structures which is called as suprachoroidal space. On the inner aspect of the choroid is a thin membrane called as Brooks membrane. The blood supply is by short ciliary arteries and below the Brooks membrane by capillary plexus. It supplies to four outer layer of retina and removes the heat. Coming to iris diaphragm with aperture which is called as pupil. Very thin attachment at ciliary body and vulnerable to be in cases of trauma where the iris tears occur. It has a rich blood supply, has two unstripped muscle. First is circular sphincter pupillae, which is supplied by parasympathetic fiber, and circular dilator pupillae, which supplied by the fibers from the cervical chain. Coming to ciliary body is a triangular in shape. Root of the iris is attached in the middle of the body. So it is a triangular in shape where the root of the iris is attached. It has ciliary muscles and they play in part of the accommodation. So that is a change in the shape of the lens to get the clearer image. The ciliary body has two parts, the anterior part plicata and the posterior part pars plana. The ciliary body extends backward up to ora serrata, the point at which retina begins. So the ciliary body continues till here. From here the choroid starts. The transition of ciliary body to choroid is gradual. The ciliary body is supplied by sensory nerve, trigeminal nerve, and muscles are supplied by motor fibers from oculomotor and sympathetic nerve. Posterior chamber. So it is a triangular space between the back of the iris and anterior surface of the lens, having apex at the point where the pupillary margin comes in contact with the lens. So it is bounded on outer side by ciliary body. It contains aqueous which flows from posterior chamber to anterior chamber through pupil. So aqueous from the posterior chamber flows to the anterior chamber through pupil. Next is vitreous. Behind the lens is a larger chamber containing a jelly-like structure or material called as vitreous humor. It is inert gel containing few cells and wandering leukocytes. Hyaloid membrane is a concentration of the micelle on the surface. So this is the hyaloid membrane, which is a concentration of the micelle. Vitreous body attachments. First is posterior lens surface by ligament of Wiegand, pars plana, peripheral retina called as vitreous base, and disc and macula. Vitreous is loosely attached to the retina and the vessels. Body of the vitreous is loose fibrous work of collagenous fibers and cortex is made up of collagen fibers and proteins. Coming to retina, it is a thin layer of light sensitive nerve tissue. It lines the inner aspect of choroid. The outer layer of retina is retinal pigment epithelium. The inner layer is a transparent neurosensory retina. The two layers are lightly attached to each other with potential space in between them called as subretinal space. The retinal detachment is the separation of neurosensory retina from the retinal epithelial cells. So, retina consists of 10 layers. So, first is retinal pigment epithelium, outer segment of rods and cones, external limiting membrane, outer nuclear layer, outer plexiform layer, inner plexiform layer, ganglion cell layer and internal limiting membrane. So the outer 4 layers of retina are supplied by choriocapillaries and the inner 6 layers get its supply from the central retinal artery. So from outer to inner starts from the pigment epithelium cells to the inner limiting membrane. So fundus. Fundus of the eye is the interior surface of the eye opposite to the lens and includes the retina, optic disc, macula, fovea and the posterior pole. The fundus can be examined by a ophthalmoscopy and or by the fundus photograph. So there is an instrument called as a ophthalmoscope or fundoscope through which we can view the fundus. So macula and fovea, the macula is about 5 mm in diameter. So this is a macula which is 5 mm in diameter, located 3 mm on the temporal side of the disc. 3 mm from the temporal side of disc, and it is dependent on choroid for its nutrition. There are several layers of ganglion cells. So the ganglion cells are packed in area of macula. The fovea at the center, its fovea centralis, which is the most sensitive area where only cones are present. So it is the uh, most sensitive area where cones are packedly placed. It gives sharpest vision. Coming to optic nerve, the fibers of nerve fiber layer pass into the optic nerve. This aperture is spanned by transverse meshwork of connective tissue, the lamina cribrosa. At the optic nerve fibers are non-myelinated. At the disc, these optic fibers, these nerve fibers are non-myelinated. Optic nerve head measures about 1.8 mm vertical and 1.5 mm horizontal. Coming to blood supply of the arteries supplying the eye are branches of ophthalmic artery. The retina is supplied by retinal artery. They are end arteries and divide dichomatically and do not anastomize. The veins from each quadrant unite at the disc to form a central retinal vein. So coming to the blood supply of the optic nerve head is supplied by fine branches from arterial circle of Zinn, mainly from branches of posterior ciliary arteries. Optic disc surface is supplied by capillaries from retinal arteriole. So optic disc surface is supplied by capillaries from retinal arterioles and the optic nerve head is supplied by the fine branches from arterial circle of Zinn, which is mainly from the posterior ciliary artery. Coming to blood supply of choroid, the uveal tract is supplied by ciliary arteries, the short ciliary arteries, long ciliary arteries and the anterior ciliary arteries. Short ciliary arteries supply the whole of choroid. The long ciliary arteries and anterior ciliary arteries supply the ciliary body and the iris, that is the anterior part of the choroid. Venous drainage, the choroid through vertex veins and ciliary body and iris through anterior ciliary veins. So this was in short with about anatomy of the eye. Thank you.